While plastic pollution remains a huge threat to the ecosystem and attracted global attention this year, Nigeria is also beleaguered by other forms of environmental challenges, which experts say also requires urgent attention. More worrisome among these is the oil spill in the Niger Delta. But is the government giving attention to this? In the next set of interviews, we spoke to the Director General of the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSDRA, Sir Peter Idabor, and his counterpart at the Hydrocarbon Pollution Prevention Remediation Project, HYPREP, Dr. Marvin, Dekil.
The National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency was established by an act of the National Assembly in 2006. The main framework for establishment of the framework for the control of oil spills in the country, I will call it NOSIP, and that's drafting of the National Oil Spill Contingency Plan, especially when there is a tier 3 oil spill in the country, which is beyond the management of the oil companies as it is today. But apart from that, we also monitor tier 1 and tier 2 oil spills. The tier 1 is the smallest oil spill based on certain volume of oil that has been put into the environment. Normally, the oil company is supposed to have the capacity to do that. But our job is to make sure that we are there and observe, and principally to settle conflicts between the operating oil companies and the communities. That's where we have the main problems. Most of the spills that happen these days as a result of sabotage, third-party activities, and it's really a worrisome thing. But in the past, it used to be equipment failure more than what we are seeing now, and failure of other aspects or natural causes like corrosion, But over time, we have established statistics of these oil spills, oil company by oil company, and our job is to see how we can reduce the incidence in the region. We have been trying, and from the statistics, there's a gradual decline in the volume or in the number of spills that's taking place in the environment. We attribute this principally to advocacy, just like people are doing in your programs, and also to the amnesty program by the federal government, which to a large extent has helped or diverted the attention of these youths to other businesses. But this is not to say that Nigeria is not the most polluted country in the world today with reference to oil spills. It's really worrisome. For us who are biologists, what we see is a continuous inflow of some of these poisons into the food chains. For example, people say they're in Abuja, and it's not touching them, but that's not true. We have gotten to the extent now that it's everywhere. Environmental problems don't have boundaries. Maggi cubes people like Madam used to cook soup, is made principally from crayfish, which comes from the muds in the Niger Delta area. Snails, all this is they feed on organic mud. So we have a steady inflow of these poisons coming in to our food, and we're concerned about that. We're also taking census of all the filling stations in the country today, and we have noticed that mechanics in some filling stations, once they service your car, after that they pour the oil in the gutter. But we trace this oil. It goes from the gutter to the rivers, from the rivers to the underground water, from the underground water to your boreholes, from the boreholes back to your kitchen. And we've also found out that a gallon of oil, just small gallon, 4 liters, can pollute 4 million liters of water. You can see the extent. So we're doing that and trying to also do advocacy, like I said. We are mapping out all the filling stations state by state, and we plan to go and talk to them in the field. I was talking to one of your colleagues, and we are saying that maybe there are areas we can collaborate with you people to make sure that necessary actions are taken to create awareness. If you looked at our stand, you will see tanks that we have built in collaboration with some NGOs, different sizes. The smaller tanks will go to individual homes, medium ones will go to banks. Anybody who uses generator, where mechanics come to service, you pour the oil inside after the waste oil, and then we have collectors who will come and pick them up, and that value chain will go up to the refinery. And we know that if you have 100 liters of waste oil, you can get 90 liters of diesel coming back in the value chain. So it's aimed at creating so many jobs for people. And I'm happy to say here that Lagos State has adopted it as the first state that has adopted the program, of collecting waste oil from the environment rather than allowing people to pour it into the rivers. Incidence of cancer is not something that, if you check now and then, you find that there are more cases of cancer prevalent, and with the food we eat. Do you understand?
Okay, looking at this hazard that comes with oil spill and all of this wastage that we're talking about, do you think that we have done enough to actually prevent the occurrence? And when they happen, do you think we have also done enough to ensure that we put them to check by way of having some regulations that we check some of these, especially the big operators?
Yeah, if you listen to the Chairman House Committee on Environment, one of the things he said is that they are doing well to do NOSDRA amendment bill. There are so many lacunae in our bill that makes these oil companies to take advantage, and it's really very bad, I have to tell you.
HYPREP is a project of the federal government of Nigeria to address the environmental challenges in the Niger Delta region, more specifically oil spills in the area. HYPREP has two clear mandates: to restore livelihood and to remediate impacted land in Ogoni as well as in the entire region. Now we're starting with Ogoni land again because there is an existing report from the UN which needs to be implemented, and setting up HYPREP is a clear indication of the commitment of the federal government to restoring both the environment and livelihood in the Niger Delta region. So far, the Project Coordination Office came live in April last year, and one of the first things we did was to set up a committee to look at existing water facilities in the area. So we are on course to providing water in the region. We've also gone ahead to do sensitization, giving ownership of the project to the community so that the community can understand that this program is theirs and is for their interest. So for every action, for every project, for every activity we carry out in the community, we first of all go to them and let them understand the reason and the benefit of those projects to them. Such projects recently include a health outreach where we went into the community and provided medical care to about 20,000 patients. We carried out surgeries on about 400 patients, and these people are people who live in the community and live with conditions for like 10 years. We used the program to gather some initial data for the health impact study. So we do have a database of the patients as well as their medical histories, which are going to be used as part of the health outreach. In addition, before this time, we have done a technology demonstration project. What that was we allowed for companies with innovative technology in remediation who were willing to carry out these tests at no cost to government, and we allocated to them portions of impacted areas, and they actually did the remediation work. That phase, we did about 16 sites across the 4 local governments that make up Ogoniland. The 4 local governments are Gokana, Kana, Tai, and Eleme. So we had opened the sites in these places. In course of our demonstration work, we had the opportunity to for the House Committee on Environment to visit us. The Senate Committee on Environment visited us. The UN Resident Coordinator visited us, and we actually took all of these teams to the field where we're carrying out our remediation work. Another thing we did was we thought of the manpower for the implementation of the project. And just like I said, giving ownership of the project to the community, we sourced young scientists with master's degree in environmental management and sciences from within the Ogoni community, the initial first phase. We trained them on simple sampling and remediation techniques. And these are the people that we used during this demonstration work for supervision. We did a second phase of that recently, of more training of these scientists again, in collaboration with the Niger Delta Development Commission, where we trained another 35 of such youths also in remediation and simple sampling and remediation techniques. These are, again, scientists, young scientists with master's degree and above, and they constitute the manpower which we're going to be using going forward. But it's also important to note that during this period, we've commenced a procurement process that will lead to the selection of international and national companies that will do the actual remediation work.
Just quickly, talking about the remediation, some people want to see that it has taken so long, considering the fact that this started, I think, around 2011 when the report came up. Haven't we spent too much time preparing for the cleanup as against just going ahead to clean up the environment itself?
It's a very good question. The report was handed to government in 2011. Okay, attempts were made to do this remediation work. However, these were not actually very successful. So the present government of President Buhari, actually the president as a candidate, came to Ogoni land during his campaign and promised that if elected, he was going to implement the report. That came as a result of obvious reason that there was no implementation before this government came in. So the president came in and started a new process that meant that even the documentation, the project needed to be relocated from the Ministry of Petroleum Resources to the Ministry of Environment. The Gazette was reviewed, and a new governing structure was put in place. All of these were done for us to get efficiency and transparency in the process of administration of the project. So what happened was that we now have a governing council, we now have a board of trustees, and we now have the project coordination office that do the day-to-day activity. Now, the project coordination office responsible for doing this work only came live in April last year, like I said. And between April last year, we have done the mapping of water facilities, we've done the outreach programs, we have done demonstration projects, and as I speak, we have a team of scientists in the field doing delineation. Delineation is an exercise that allows you to define the contamination boundaries at each of the sites. And that information is critical for you to design a remediation plan. And we are doing this on over 64 sites that will be used subsequent phases of the project. Well, currently, we're going to be taking out 23 sites for work.